Hey everybody, it's Stacie Duffy here, your Denver Metro real estate resource, and I just finished up an appointment with a past client of mine over at Corvus Coffee on South Broadway. So I'm going to go ahead and do a driving tour for y'all of the South Broadway area because I don't think I've posted one yet. So I would say, it's a Monday at 11 a.m., so you're not going to see nearly as many people out as you usually do. And because we're still in like COVID environments and things like that, a lot of places that would normally have full patio seating and things like that don't have those entirely full and open. So usually it's a lot busier than it is right now, but it is almost 60 degrees, and so in March, which is nice. So I'm going to do the driving tour for y'all, and I'm going to do that of South Broadway, starting from essentially just south of I-25, so right there at Mississippi, all the way down to, I'll see if I have time to get down to Hampden without it being too long of a video. So that's quite a big area to cover. I'm not going to be able to talk about all the stuff, but at least you can kind of see what the area looks like. I'm also going to swing through a couple of the houses on both sides. So I'm going to swing through some of the houses over in Rosedale on the west side of that, and then over in Platte Park on the east side of that, just to give you an idea. And those are very different as far as price points and neighborhood feel, but they all have a lot of these things that are very walkable. So generally, and I'll talk about this while I'm driving a little bit more, but generally the South Broadway area, it's seen as very walkable. It's convenient to a lot of different locations. But I'll chatter some more and I'll get started here driving in a minute. Alrighty, so I am at Mississippi, facing west, and about to turn south onto Broadway, just south of I-25 and Broadway. And you can see the gorgeous mountain view and the Broadway Station apartments. So there is a lot of new apartments and some new townhomes over in this area. Platte Park by Windsor's over here. So lots of brand new apartments on the South Broadway area right at 25. Really easy access to downtown, to the I-25 corridor, obviously. A lot of different stuff over here that's really nice to get to, so it's definitely got a lot more money getting into it. So, but here you'll see some of the older areas, or the older buildings that it's really gotten turned into a really cool trendy area. So over here on the right, I just saw is Wake and Bake. This was Winchell's, and I was a big Winchell's fan, but apparently Wake and Bake has kolaches. And if you're from Texas, you know kolaches, and they are really hard to find here. So I got to check those out. Really trendy bridal shop. We've got lots of bars. We've got definitely some cannabis places over here, but that's a little bit further south that you'll see. So it's a very trendy part of town that's got a lot of money and walkable things coming in. Little boutique shops. We've got the Arc over here on the right, and I'm a huge fan of Arc. That's actually a pretty good one. They usually have really good stuff. If you like secondhand shopping, Denver's awesome for that. We've got the Wolf House doggy daycare, all those kind of things. So, and the dog wash and the sculpture garden and gallery. So it's kind of a hodgepodge of different things. Some new condos over here on the left. So some businesses have sold and done permit changes to be changed over to like mixed use buildings. So we'll have retail on the lower level and then condos or something up above. Corvus Coffee over here on the left is where I just had my appointment this morning. That's a really cool place. They usually have a ton of outdoor seating. Most of these places, the restaurants here will actually, a lot of them have pretty large patio areas because the inside is a little bit tight. Corvus is a pretty large coffee shop for over here. But we're in, ending of COVID. It's late March 2021, just to give you an idea on timing. So not nearly as many people outside as there normally would be right now, as I mentioned before. But we've got, you'll see like the kind room. So that's, anyway, we've got our cannabis places around. You're going to see quite a few of those. But it is a really trendy and high dollar, quote unquote, well, it's all relative, right? So it is a very desirable part of South Denver to be in. Lots of great restaurants and things like that around this area. And then some newer trendy shops that are moving in as well. So I'm actually just crossing over Evans to give you an idea as far as where we're at streetwise. If you're looking on a map or you're trying to look at places, we have a few franchise places, Burger King, Good Times, but most of your places over here are going to be your mom and pop, your hole in the wall, your super trendy, newly franchised places, coffee shops. There's a pressed juice place, right next to the Joyce's Pizza that's been there forever. So different kind of mix of things like that. The Post over here on the left, chicken and beer, awesome fried chicken place. They actually have a gluten-free fried chicken, so that's really cool. We got a Colorado poke salad on the right, Pets on Broadway, and then your super fancy liquor store. So like I said, a little bit of a hodgepodge. It's actually a really cool part of town. And then I don't know if we'll get to Miyaku Ramen. That's a little bit closer to Hampden. I believe it's closer to Hampden. I have to look on a map. That's definitely one of my favorite ramen places in town. So if you're a foodie and you like to walk to trendy foodie places, bars, Tabletop Tap is over here. I think we'll get pretty close to that. If that's your vibe, this is a really good part of town to be in. And so as far as residential options around here, it's definitely surrounded by older single family homes. I'll drive you through a couple of those streets. One on the west side of Broadway. I might go down like Delaware, one of the first couple streets. And then I'll go down one of the streets over on the east side of Broadway. So you can get a feel for a difference in the neighborhood. And the price points, I'll talk about that, and the types of houses that are in there as well. So you can get a feel for it. I just wanted you to get a feel for what South Broadway is. So over on the right, you can actually see what used to be residential homes, and they've converted to businesses because they're over here on Broadway. Most of them have. Some of them are still residences, but most of these is converted to smaller businesses, you know, insurance places, tattoo places, small bars or breweries, those types of things. So anyway, here we get into a little bit, you know, a little bit more spread out, a little bit larger buildings. As we get closer to Hampden, because you get a little bit further from downtown and a little bit newer development. I mean, still definitely older, you know, 40s, 50s, 60s, even some before that. But you can see, you know, Inglewood, when you get out of Denver and into Inglewood, they've put some money in this part of town. It's definitely something that's seen as a desirable place to live. If you like to craft, Wooden Schools is over on the right. And next to the Cripple Creek Backcountry Skiing Shop. So awesome fabric shop if you like to, you know, and fancy yarn shop as well if you like to quilt or knit or anything like that. Breakfast on Broadway is a really good place, and they got their patio open, which is really cool. They usually have, oh, that was Miyaku Ramen on the left side. Sorry, I forgot to point that out. Definitely really good food over here. So, I'm gonna get here. I'm down to Dartmouth, and I'm gonna get to Hampden, and then I'm going to do the residentials. So y'all can see what those look like. I must have passed Santiago's and not paid attention. Sorry, guys. So Santiago's is supposed to be one of the quintessential breakfast burrito places in Denver. So that's a big one. And obviously there's a bunch of Starbucks around here and all kinds of things too. So Moe's Original Barbecue over on the right. Decent barbecue. I mean, I came from Texas, so my barbecue standard's pretty high. It's decent, but it's kind of cool because it's a bowling alley and a barbecue place. So when you can have get-togethers and things like that, it's a neat place to do that. Going around, we got our King Supers on the right that I just passed. You can see we're going to get a little bit busier down here. Oh, One Barrel Bistro. That is an awesome place to go eat if you're ever in the area. That's awesome. And sorry for the little like bell jingle. I have a 3-month-old baby, and that is his little car toy that is driving me crazy that I need to get out of my car. But you get to listen to it with me, so sorry about that. All right, I'm going to turn left onto Hampden here and work kind of my way back through, and then bring y'all up on the residential side on the east side of Rosedale here in a minute. Alrighty, so I just turned north onto Logan off of Hampden. So you can kind of see there's a couple strip malls over here. There's some newer, a few newer condos and apartments, but not too much. We're over here by the hospital, so you'll get a quick view of that. And then I'll probably turn off of Logan onto one of the streets that's a block closer to Broadway, so you can see what the houses look like. Logan's one of the busier streets that goes through Rosedale and Platte Park. And so I'd rather show you one of the quieter streets so you have an idea what that looks like. I'm gonna take a left here on Girard, so I'm gonna go west and go over one block. But even just here looking at the houses on Grant's a good one. Let's do Grant. I just sold a house on Grant last fall. So, and I don't even know if you can see this one on the right. I'll see if I can change my camera a little bit. Sorry if it's crooked. So there's a scrape with a new duplex, but then we've got some very traditional craftsman homes. We've got a smaller apartment or condo complex on the right, It's really kind of a hodgepodge here for a couple of blocks, and then we get into a little bit more similar style. Oh, free little library on the left. Those are always so cute. We'll go across Floyd, keep going up Grant. So, and another multifamily complex here on the right. So you can see here we've got a lot of brick ranches. From most of these are going to be somewhere between 40s and 50s. That was actually duplex. There's some duplexes dropped in here. There's actually one street that has a lot of them on there. And church on the right, crossing Eastman. I think I'm going to hop over one more block because I want you to see what's over there. So some of these houses were built back in the 20s and they've been added on to and changed since then. Some of them are more from the 40s and 50s. So as you'll see, like these craftsman style homes with the pillars on the front, those are usually going to be from your 40s era. And then you've got your brick ranches that are a little bit more basic box, like here on the left. Those are going to be closer to 50s and 60s. And most of these homes are smaller, more modest homes when they were built at that time because they're further outside of Denver. Nice lot sizes though. So some of these are, you know, quarter acre lot or a little bit bigger. Most of them are going to be just under that. And some of them are actually zoned for dual unit. So I guess they're just hanging out. Anyway, so some people, it's not quite scrape territory yet, at least not this far south. The further south you are on Broadway, well, there's a pop top on the right. And when I'm talking about pop top, I mean someone, oh, and then we've got scrapes on the left here for the multifamily. So someone bought a couple of lots there. So the further south you are, a little bit cheaper lots. Now, since we're crossing over Cornell, we're getting a little bit further north into that Platte Park territory, and you'll definitely see the difference in the houses and you know, the appearance, and a lot more scrapes like you'll see on the right side, larger homes, even on the left, that have been scraped down and rebuilt and either into single family, you know, larger single family homes. A lot of these are put into duplexes because of the zoning. Depending on the lot size, if you have a large enough lot, you can do 2 units on the lot. And so when builders purchase the lot and scrape them, that's much more profitable for them to do that because they can put 2 housing units on the one lot. And a lot of times people don't want that much yard. They want some, but they don't want a ton. So anyway, this gives you an idea. Now we're getting more into Platte Park. Platte Park's going to be north. It's going to be just south of I-25. And then the further south on Broadway, closer to Hampden, is going to be Rosedale. So as far as those neighborhoods. And price point, because the houses are so different, it varies really, really widely in here. I would say your smaller, not updated, maybe your brick ranch with no basement that's, you know, 1,100 square feet, is probably in the Platte Park area at least. You're not going to find too many brick ranches in Platte Park. Those are more going to be in Rosedale. But even entry price point in Rosedale at the moment, it's probably going to be mid-4s unless it's really, really, really rough. And you're going to scrape it. And then at that point, you're probably looking, you know, mid to high 3s. But that's a stretch. Most of the entry level stuff, like bare minimum, you're talking 4s to get in here. So, up here in Platte Park, it's definitely more desirable, larger houses, larger lots, closer to 25, and a little bit more trendy of an area, I would say. And these are probably closer to your 6, 7, up to, you know, 1 to 2 million if you've got one of these houses that's been scraped and rebuilt and absolutely ginormous like the ones you're seeing now. So street parking, plus a lot of these have alley access. So most of your garages are going to be alley access for these. And then here on Vassar, I'm coming right up on 25, so I'm going to get pretty close here. So you're not going to see nearly as much. We've got the park over here. And then you've got your super, super fancy stuff that's really pricey. So most of these you're going to have alley access, and you can see for these larger homes or for the duplexes here that have the garages in the back, you have a lot more available street parking. You've got Harvard Gulch Park over there, which is really nice. Harvard Avenue. All right, so just to give you an idea of what's over on this part of town, I'm going to stop and turn west on Harvard. If this person ever goes, because they don't have a stop sign. And then I will show y'all the west side of Broadway. So you can see the difference in the homes and the street parking, and I'll talk about different types of structures and build years and things like that over there. But yeah, I'll be back in a sec. Alrighty, so I am on the west side of Broadway on Harvard, and I'm not going to do a coma because it's the first block. I'll probably do the second one here. But we've got smaller homes, but they have a lot more, you know, charm or character from what a lot of my clients tell me. And that's kind of the vibe and the feel. There are some new single families and new duplexes tucked back in here. But generally, I'll go down Bannock until we get closer to Evans or Yale, and then I'll probably pop over to Delaware. Delaware. That's a few blocks further west. So super cute, much more Victorian Tudor style, brick craftsman. We do have some scrapes in here, but the property, well, because we're further north. As we get further south, you're going to see less and less of those. Some with the gambrel style roofs to give a little bit more space, or people that have done some cheaper pop tops over here. And we got an awesome mountain view just to my right, to the west, which I know y'all can't see. You can see the brick craftsman's here on the right. Most of these homes are going to be, I would say, a little bit more modestly sized. Some of them will have the full basement. You can see the ones with the windows down at ground level have the basement. Most of these probably will. Some of them, there might be a handful in here, tucked in here that don't. I know there are a few. But generally your brick homes are going to have your basement, or if they have siding, like this greenhouse here on the right. I don't know if y'all can see it. Probably not. Yeah, not really well. Sorry guys, it's too sunny. So some of these homes that are in the 1950s, they'll have these larger, like 12 by 24 inch shingles on them. A lot of times, if those are original shingles, they're going to be asbestos shingles. So, which I know a lot of people hear asbestos and they freak out. Guys, they're bulletproof, okay? They're not allowed to make them anymore for obvious reasons, but the reason they're still there is because they're pretty hard to destroy. So when you do have to replace it, it's very expensive to do asbestos abatement and everything else. But if you don't have to replace it, and they've, you know, sustained very well and been maintained and painted and everything else, they're pretty bulletproof. So as long as you're not the one that has to take them off, they're not too bad. So we've got some craftsman style homes on the right. We've got some brand new townhouses on the left here on Bannock. And a little bit of southwestern style on the right side as well. But you can see smaller lot sizes. These lots are relatively narrow, but they're pretty deep. So most of these houses will have a garage in the back, a detached garage at the back that is accessible via the alley. And that's a big draw. A lot of people have done stucco over the homes to help with the maintenance if they pulled off those shingles. A lot of them still have those larger shingle sidings though. And some of those, you can't really probably see them on the video, but they have the wavy bottoms. Some of them have wavy bottoms, some of them have straight bottoms. But anyway, really cute, kind of charming homes. Square footage is going to be anywhere from 700 on the small end on your above ground square footage, up to maybe a 13 or 14 square foot home if it hasn't been scraped and rebuilt. And that's on the larger side. Most of these are going to fall somewhere in that 1,000 to 1,200 square foot range, and have 2 to 3 bedrooms on the main floor with 1 bath. Very few of these homes will have a dedicated master bath unless it was added on at another time, or if it was really expensive when it was built. So they are also very good young professional rentals for that reason. A lot of people want to be in this part of town, and so if you're looking to do like a house hack situation, they're really popular for that, especially if you want to put in some sweat equity and some updating. Foundations in this part of town are generally pretty good as long as people have maintained and kept the water away from the foundation and everything else. So I'm gonna let this turn green and then I might turn right. Actually, I'm gonna go straight. So I'm gonna turn around and come back up Delaware just so y'all can see a little bit further away from Broadway to get an idea. Some more, see, now we have some more brick branches here a little bit further south. Little larger lots, not quite as lot, and we've got some brick Tudor homes here on the right, some 30s or 40s built Tudors. And I'm gonna stop and go over to Delaware. So, and then gorgeous mountain view, yay. There's also some breweries, and there's actually a couple distilleries kind of tucked back in here. I don't think we're gonna drive by any of them in particular, but let this little guy go. Is he gonna stop? He's gonna wait on his fam. Okay. So a little bit further south and a little bit further west, closer to Santa Fe and the railroad tracks and everything out there, we've got some distilleries and breweries and some cool stuff. So, but here you can kind of get a feel for more of the homes and a little bit wider street here on Delaware, a little bit more street parking because we're a little further away, and the lots are a little bit bigger, some of them. Just generally less busy as well. So, Dartmouth is one of kind of the main drags east to west through this part of town. So you've got 25, then you come down to, you've got Evans and Yale. Those are a little bit larger drags. But Dartmouth, they've kind of done some construction on, so it's a little bit wider roadway with a bike lane and some crossing points and things like that, which is nice. What can I talk about to kill some time while I wait for traffic? All right, here we go. So, you can see we've got some raised ranches up on the right. We've got some more scrapes on the left, the side-by-side duplex units. There's a handful more duplexes as you get a little bit further west from Broadway. And there's also a block over off of Hampden that has a handful of them too. So, anyway, really cute part of town. It generally sells pretty well. People's big concern, as far as age, and something that I've seen in many of the homes on this part of town, especially if you're doing one of those brick ranches or the craftsman style homes built somewhere between, I'll say 20s has its own set of issues. My house over on Grant that I sold last fall was a 1920s house with some additions and some other things like that. So it had its own unique infrastructure, is a nice way to say that. But something that a lot of these homes have, just based on the era that they were built, will either be the galvanized water lines. That's really the biggest one that I run into that's still in the houses that hasn't been redone in a lot of them. If the house has been completely remodeled or gutted or updated or anything like that, most of the time they'll do that. But the galvanized lines are a problem, especially when they're under pressure. So galvanized water lines, they rust. As that galvanized coating wears over time, then the water line starts to rust. However, rust from the inside out is the issue. So I'm going to take a right here on Yale and cross around. Because of the shape of the neighborhood in Santa Fe and how it ties into 25, there's kind of this weird little triangle over here. But when they're under pressure and they rust from the inside out, then you have a line burst and you got water going everywhere. So a lot of the incoming lines have been replaced for that reason, but some of the drain lines, the galvanized drain lines, are still around. I do run into those quite a bit. Not as big of a concern, it still rusts from the inside out. However, it's not under pressure. So usually what happens is the rust builds up on the inside. You have to have the drain snaked and the line snaked. I'll go down a coma here just to kill some time while I'm talking and kind of filling you in on the mechanicals of the houses. So you have to have the line snaked a little bit more often, and they drain slow. However, they're not under pressure, so when they do, they do have a leak or a failure and they cause damage, it's a water leak. It's never fun, but it's not as bad as something that's under pressure and just pours water all over the house. So that is something that a lot of these homes will still have, just something to look for. Don't really run into much aluminum wiring over here because I usually see that in the 70s. There is a neighborhood over in Aurora that was built in the 50s that I do see that from time to time, aluminum wiring in the 50s, which was really unusual. Most of the time that's 70s plus. But I'd say galvanized water lines are the big thing. Ungrounded electrical, really, really common, just based on that's the electrical that was used at the time. So depending on what's been updated there, definitely check that out. Sewer lines, big thing in this part of town, just in general with anything that age. You're going to have usually concrete, clay, or cement sewer lines, and those leave opportunities for root intrusions and can cause some failures. So definitely, if you're looking at buying one of these houses, make sure you're checking plumbing, you're checking electrical, you're checking structure, obviously, to make sure that your structure is solid. Most of these are pretty good as long as they were taken care of. But that you're also having the sewer line scoped. Please do not skip that couple $100 expense. It can be very, very, very pricey if you do not have that taken care of. So anyway, just to give you an idea of the South Broadway area, I'm going to pop out here. I think I'm on Cornell. I have a look. Yep. Pop back out here on Broadway and head south. And yeah, thanks so much for the time. If you're ever looking to buy or sell here in the Denver metro area, I would be happy to help. I love going through these neighborhoods. I love knowing the ins and outs, especially on the different ages of homes and the different styles of homes. I call myself a technical real estate resource. For some people, because I geek out on that stuff, guys. I get really excited when I'm like, oh, hey, you know, that 1950s house with ungrounded aluminum wiring. Like, to me, that's not fun for a buyer to buy, but it's fun for me to know about because it's not something that many realtors know. So those are the things I look for on showings. I look for galvanized lines to see what's been replaced. So before you're making offers, you at least have a general idea what you're buying. I don't want you to spend $500 or $800 or even $500, $800 or $1,000 on an inspection for something that I can tell you. So if you're not comfortable with those things, I'd rather you learn from me than have to pay an inspector and find out and get stressed and start over and then get burnt out on the whole buying process altogether. So anyway, if you're looking to buy or sell in the Denver metro area, please feel free to reach out to me. I would be happy to help. My contact information is on my website. The link for that is down below. If you are liking my videos, please subscribe to my channel. I would greatly appreciate it. I want to make sure I'm providing content that you find helpful. It's fun for me to do, but it's also fun for me to help people and answer their questions, since it's what I do for a living. And I really enjoy it. So thanks so much for the time, guys, and have a great day.